leaders of our church, and I was granted the divorce. So Kody and I are no longer married in any way, shape, or form. I texted Kody. He never responded.
Robyn felt that things could change for mine and Mary's relationship.
Wow, what a display of compassion. Mary Brown may not be my favorite, but seriously, no one deserves to be humiliated to the level Kody humiliated her. It's truly pathetic that she needs a man to tell her she's no longer married to someone who has utterly disowned, abandoned, and unloved her. I mean, Mary really should consider therapy at this point, preferably a good long session. And let's not kid ourselves, it's been Kody's wish since day one, the moment Robyn strolled into their lives. He emotionally ditched all his other wives, and let's not forget about those 13 original kids, all with Robyn's eager participation. I'm so over the sob story of how no one accepted Robyn and her kids. I recently caught clips of Christine and Janelle saying they told Robyn their doors were always open to her kids, just like they were for all the others. But here's the kicker. Robyn never sent them through those doors. They can't deny what we all witnessed. Remember that time she scolded one of Janelle's boys for eating too much of her precious food? Spoiler alert, his mom probably paid for it because Robyn was always a little short on cash. And let's talk about the whole legal divorce from Mary and the marriage to Robyn. It was less about adopting her kids and way more about positioning Kody and Robyn's relationship. That sketch she did of Kody with her kids when they were babies, one of the most twisted things I've ever seen. Wiping away their real dad from their lives, classic Robyn move. It became crystal clear to me back then that she would do anything to get what she wanted, namely Kody. And oh, the melted wedding ring. I just rewatched the first episode, and surprise, surprise, no wedding ring on Kody's finger. He had already tossed his entire family aside for Robyn, and was busy lying to the world about falling in love with his other 3 wives. The only person he ever truly fell for was Robyn, and she has milked that for all it's worth. So what if the cult denied Mary's request? They hadn't been active in years. Kody has been singing the same old tune, claiming he never loved her and wishing she'd just move on. Robyn's little plea for Mary to stay. Yeah, that was just a desperate attempt to hold onto Mary's income. Christine and Janelle? They saw the writing on the wall and gracefully packed up and moved on. At least they had the good sense to know when it was time to leave. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Reality Nexus X. I'm Elena, and I hope you're all having an amazing day. Let's jump right in. So, Sister Wives star Christine's daughter Mykelti Brown is becoming a favorite. Who would have thought? In her latest interview, she really brought some enlightening insights to the table. Seriously, she might just be the voice of reason among the chaos. In their Patreon video for episode 4, she pointed out that Kody has never really bothered to step into his kids' worlds as they grew up. No, why would he? Instead, he always expected them to dive headfirst into his little kingdom. Remember those endless movie marathons? Yep, they were always watching Kody's favorite flicks when he dropped by. But the moment the kids started developing their own interests, suddenly Kody had no time for that. It's like he believed the world revolved around his whims, and any deviation was just too much for his delicate ego. Honestly, it's as if Kody never matured past the age of, 12? It's also telling that he decided to spend the majority of his time with the wife who treats him like the king of a toddler's playroom. He never grasped that it's perfectly normal for kids to want to spend holidays with their spouses' families. Nope, for him, every absence was a personal betrayal, like he was being rejected from the toddler playdate of the century. And let's not ignore the fact that Kody seems to be in a constant competition with his own children. Oh, look at me. I'm better looking. I can wrestle better. I'm so much smarter. Seriously, who is he trying to impress? The delusion is strong with this one, as he desperately tries to outshine them. It's a pretty pathetic dynamic, like watching a grown man try to outplay a bunch of kids at their own game. Kody is basically a walking toddler. The tantrums, the pickiness about food, the ridiculous demands. When they're not met, you'd think the world was ending based on his dramatic meltdowns. He thrives on chaos and has yet to figure out how to enjoy a moment of peace. And impulsive? Oh, you betcha. Honestly, I think Mykelti got a little swept up in the idea of being one of her dad's favorites for the first time. But let's be real, it's only a matter of time before she realizes she's the one who'll have to put in all the effort to maintain any semblance of a relationship with him. Spoiler alert, that's not going to end well. Well, it looks like reality star Kody is gearing up for yet another round of organ damage. This time, it's a knife to the heart. Janelle recently dropped the news in an interview with E! That Savannah's brothers will be strutting down the aisle with her on her wedding day. How sweet. But honestly, I doubt Kody will lose any sleep over it. Savannah hasn't exactly been on his favorites list, so he's probably just relieved he won't have to foot the bill for the big day. And let's be real, he's got to save up his energy for Aries' wedding. At this rate, he'll be lucky if any of the unmarried OG kids even bother to send him an invitation. Can you imagine him sitting there, scratching his head, wondering, Savannah who? After completely ghosting her for nearly 2 months because he was throwing a tantrum about her mother, it's no wonder no one else is surprised. But trust me, in his eyes, this is all just one big attack. He'll declare a civil war over it. Ah, Kody. Even in a perfect world, he manages to be the textbook example of a neglectful father and grandfather. I mean, really, he had the audacity to complain last episode about Maddie living on the other side of the country. As if that little detail is somehow preventing him from being the doting grandpa he claims to want to be. It got me thinking, in a universe where Kody actually wanted to be involved in every single one of his children's and grandchildren's lives, he'd still be out of luck. Why? Because he has so many kids and, by extension, an overwhelming number of grandchildren. There's just no way he could juggle being actively present in all their lives. Expecting every one of his children to drop everything and come to him for holidays? Yeah, good luck with that. They have their own lives, their spouses have their own families, and Kody can't exactly teleport to every family gathering across the country. It's practically a logistical nightmare. Anyone with that many kids is bound to be a ghost of father or grandfather unless his kids suddenly decide to prioritize his presence in their adult lives. Spoiler alert, they're not lining up to make that happen. Remember those early seasons when the show tried to convince us that Kody was some super dad, always there for his kids? Hilarious. If it was that hard for him to stay involved when everyone was living under the same roof, or at least in the same cul-de-sac, how in the world does he think it'll work now that they've all scattered across the country? In the last couple of holidays, I can't recall a single instance where he invited any of his kids' families to join him. He threw a fit about the errand situation, completely clueless about who was coming over for the holidays. You know what might have solved that little mystery? Asking his kids or, better yet, actually inviting them. But no, he's just Mia. As a grandparent, you don't need to be in your grandkids' lives every single day. But come on, checking in occasionally and reaching out to your kids to ask about the grandkids would go a long way. But I guess that would require effort, and we know how Kody feels about that. If he had a decent relationship with them, they'd probably feel welcome enough to fill his house every holiday. It's convenient for everyone when the kids can catch up and visit with their cousins. It's pretty telling that he's not warm or welcoming enough to make that happen. So, what's the latest drama between Mykelti and Sister Wives star Robyn Brown? I'm totally behind on the gossip and need to catch up. Are the rumors true that Mykelti has finally turned on Robyn? I've heard whispers about some major fallout connected to Garrison's funeral, and I'm dying to know what went down. First off, the fact that Robyn didn't let the kids go to Logan's wedding was bad enough. But if she actually blocked them from attending Garrison's funeral, yikes, that's next-level heartlessness. From what I can gather, Robyn made some incredibly tone-deaf remark implying that if Garrison had just reached out to Kody, he'd still be alive. Seriously? The audacity! It's almost impressive how she manages to fake empathy while completely lacking it. The fact that she thought it was appropriate to say anything even remotely reproachful in that context is mind-blowing. Major kudos to Mykelti for keeping her cool instead of dragging Robyn through the mud. Rumor has it that Robyn pulled some pretty nasty stunts at Garrison's funeral, and Mykelti was not having any of it. But beyond those whispers, the details are murky at best. I saw that Mykelti made a comment on her Patreon, saying something along the lines of, "Some of you have noticed that I'm not that close to Robyn and Dad anymore. While I don't want to air family business, I do want to be transparent that something happened at the funeral that caused the rift. Naturally, that got picked up by every blogger in sight." When she was asked for clarification, she backtracked and denied saying anything, blaming the bloggers for twisting her words. But come on, people pointed out that it was right there on her Patreon, posted from her own account. Then she went on to blame Tony, claiming he must have written that. She threw in a vague comment about hoping an event like that would bring people together, but surprise, surprise, it didn't. That's all she would say. So who knows what's really going on? Sounds to me like she's backtracking like a pro. I still suspect she was the one who made that initial comment, not Tony. As well as, in one of their recent press tour interviews, Janelle and Christine expressed their sadness over losing their relationships with the Tenders. They reminisced about the memories flooding their phones, photos that brought back so many happy times. Naturally, I had to dive into their Instagram accounts to see just how much they had shared about them. What stood out to me was how Janelle's first and second posts featured Saul, and she consistently shared moments with Dayton and Aerie. Maddie also had a ton of adorable baby and toddler pictures of Saul. It's clear that the family really seemed integrated back then. After binge-watching more than 10 seasons of the show, it's shocking to hear Robyn's kids claim they were never included in the larger family dynamic. Talk about some serious brainwashing going on over there. It's heartbreaking that Robyn told her kids they weren't welcome in the extended family. She's not just stolen those precious family relationships, she's also tainted so many childhood memories for them. That kind of parental alienation is painful, especially when it fractures their connection with the Brown family and their biological dad. Honestly, this just makes me really sad. Kody and Robyn are robbing their kids of so many meaningful relationships. I know some people say Ariella can be a handful, but every time I see her, I can't help but think how much she would love having older brothers like Hunter to play with, wrestling and tossing her in the air. She seems like the kind of kid who would thrive on that rough and tumble play, not the overly cautious kind Robyn might want her to be. And I'm sure Saul would look up to his brothers, too. Gwen and Aurora used to be close, and now it feels like that bond has completely vanished. Are the issues with the parents really worth fracturing so many sibling relationships? I can only imagine what Robyn would say about those old family photos. Probably something dismissive like, "Yeah, that's a nice picture, but my kids weren't actually accepted." It's just so disheartening. Plus, Sister Wives star Janelle Brown had absolutely zero interest in forging a friendship with Robyn Brown. If those conversations ever took place, I can only imagine how they unfolded. Kody did throw Janelle a question about how she could be buddies with Christine, but not with Robyn, all while he was busy patching things up with his fourth wife. Isn't that rich? He calls Janelle a relationship coward, yet here he is, not ready to even reach out to his estranged kids. Really, Kody? Janelle is a relationship coward? Why not march over to your remaining kids and tell them that to their faces? This guy truly knows how to boil my blood. The universe should be orbiting around all of his children, not just his money-hungry number 4, the perpetual victim of his drama. Also, I just finished watching Season 19, Episodes 3 and 4 of Sister Wives, titled Am I My Brother's Keeper? And wow, did I need to hit pause a few times to really dissect Robyn's facial expressions. Seriously, the woman was practically a masterclass in contempt aimed straight at Kody. I mean, during that snow argument, she was rolling her eyes like it was an Olympic sport. And don't even get me started on game night. Her dramatic sighs and eye rolls were so over the top that I half expected her to pull out a dramatic monologue right there. Yet, right on cue, she'd slap on a smile as if everything was perfectly fine. Honestly, it's like watching a poorly directed play. Behavioral scientists say that contempt is a reliable predictor of divorce, and if that's the case, Kody might want to start packing his bags. Robyn even admitted she was struggling not to lose respect for him, which honestly makes her one of us. Another thing that caught my attention during game night was how Robyn's kids, especially the younger ones, were constantly glancing at her, gauging her reactions to Kody before deciding how to respond themselves. It's like they were waiting for the Robyn reaction protocol to kick in. That household seems so controlled. It's hard to shake the feeling that they were all performing for an audience. And let's be real, their relationship seems fine. Well, fine in the sense that they're trying to keep it together while clearly feeling the pinch of the other wife's absence. Every time she and Kody got into a heated debate, she ended up crying and stuttering like she forgot her lines. Their fights always seem to wrap up in a kiss, which is a nice touch, but I don't recall the same romantic resolution with the other wives. Maybe they should take notes. Furthermore, does anyone else get uncomfortable when sister wives star Robyn Brown talks about purity? I mean, seriously, does it give anyone else the creeps? To me, it almost sounded like she was hinting that her ex-husband had crossed some serious lines with her. Whenever I rewatch that scene, I can't help but cringe. It just feels off, you know? Am I the only one who feels this way? Back then, I always assumed she was talking about herself. So I was really surprised to find out that she later claimed she wasn't speaking about her own experience. If that's true, then why did she get so emotional and start crying? My take on it, she realized how much she had revealed and tried to backtrack. Plus, wasn't Robyn already pregnant when she got married, or at least very early on in her pregnancy? I started to wonder if maybe the kid I was dating, who supposedly stole her purity, wasn't even her ex-husband, but someone else before him. She even said something along the lines of, "After that, I changed my standards." I remember that part pretty clearly. So I'm kind of leaning toward the idea that her ex-husband wasn't her first experience. What do you all think? I'd really like to hear different takes on this. However, lightbulb moment. I've just realized that Robyn is genuinely upset about all the separations. Not because she wants to be Kody's one and only, but because she never wanted to be the only wife. Robyn's dream was to be the better wife, the favorite wife. Now, faced with dealing with him all by herself, I feel like she's on the brink of losing it. Is it just me, or does anyone else think she's probably going to bail on him soon too? I mean, isn't that the unspoken goal in polygamy? The wives are always competing against each other, each one trying to be the favorite, scrambling to earn favor, popping out more kids like it's a competition, all for a bit more attention and resources. For Robyn, a big part of the appeal in this marriage was being the better, prettier, more favored wife who could do no wrong in Kody's eyes. It was like a never-ending ego boost for her. But now that the other women have finally realized Kody isn't worth fighting over, Robyn's lost that boost. And let's not forget how she managed to secure a pretty sweet deal financially as the favored wife. Now that gravy train has run dry, although she already did some serious damage to their finances, which the other wives will probably never see fully repaid. Additionally, could sister wives star Kody Brown ever be redeemed? Like, is there any chance he can gain back even a shred of respect from the rest of the world, besides Robyn, of course, because, you know, loyalty, after everything that's gone down? Let's look at the list. abandoning Isabel during her surgery, making his grown sons cry on a regular basis, and expecting his adult children to step in and act like fathers to their younger siblings. Then there's the way he neglects his young daughters to focus all his attention on Robyn's kids. Not to mention, his own children don't even want their kids anywhere near him. And he just keeps repeating how his kids don't like that he's not madly in love with the mothers, as if that's supposed to excuse anything. Oh, and let's not forget the way he talks about the other wives' houses as their homes, where they're the ones paying the mortgage while he just covers the car insurance. Honestly, with a track record like this, can this man's reputation ever actually be saved? Moreover, Sister Wives star Kody Brown just doesn't seem to grasp that when he left his other wives for Robyn, he also left behind most of his kids. It's like he thinks he can just start fresh without acknowledging the consequences of his choices. When he brought Robyn into the family, she quickly became the primary, and eventually the only, wife. From that point on, his focus shifted entirely to her children and their shared kids, completely neglecting the older ones during their middle school and teenage years. It's no wonder his kids aren't close to him. He essentially abandoned them during those formative years. I actually think he does realize it, but he just doesn't care. He's made it abundantly clear that his priority is Robyn. It feels like his concern for his other kids is wrapped up in narcissism. He's more worried about how it makes him look than about the relationships he's sacrificed. It's frustrating to watch him brush off the impact of his decisions. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree with what I've shared? If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for future updates. Thanks for watching.